Hello everybody, welcome or welcome back. Today is I think the 22nd of September, which means it is officially autumn! My absolute favourite season of the entire year. I am such an autumn girl through and through. So I was thinking, what video did I want to do to kind of kick off the season? Maybe some full book recommendations. I already did a full TBR, but that was kind of summer going into. So I thought, why not do another instalment in my Taylor Swift book recommendations, Taylor Swift album as books video series. I think my first video I ever did was a folklore one, which is crazy. That was almost a year ago now. Crazy. I did Midnights and then I did the Talk to a Poets Department when that came out. So doing one at this time of the year, going into autumn, what is the ultimate autumn fall girl album? If we can't tell, it is obviously Red by Miss Taylor Allison Swift. Red, Taylor's version only, thank you very much. We're going to be doing book recommendations based on some of my absolute favourite songs on that album. I'm not going to be doing every single song on that album because there are so many songs on every single Taylor album, thank God, but too much for this video. We're going to be doing 17 songs, I think, and there's about 30-ish songs on the album, so a good chunk. I'd like to preface with, I'm going to keep this as spoiler free as possible, but we are getting into the nitty gritty feelings that I feel about these books. In an abstract conversation, I'm not going to be telling you in detail what happens, but you may be able to get an idea. So just consider that. Also, we're looking at lyrics, which I feel really deeply reflect to these books. Some more surface level, but some really, really deeply. And then also I have some quotes to pair from the books. So just, if you haven't read the books, maybe think about how much that is gonna affect. And also if I think that a book is gonna be something's gonna be particularly revealed that maybe shouldn't, I will just give you an extra little preface at the start of that. Nevertheless, let's get into these Taylor Swift Red album book recommendations. Okay, so the first song that we're gonna start off with is State of Grace, which is the first song on the album. Fantastic. And the book that I have paired with this song is Funny Story by Emily Henry, one of my absolute favourite books of this year. The book is about Daphne, who has just been broken up with by her fiance because his girl best friend decided to let him know that she was in love with him, so they're gonna go be in love, which is so cute. And Daphne ends up having to move in with that girl best friend's now ex-boyfriend because she's got nowhere else ready to stay, and that's just a good situation, and they form this beautiful friendship into a romance. It's really lovely. I love Emily Henry. This is one of my favourite Emily Henry books. And quotes that I really connect for this book: and I never saw you coming, and I'll never be the same. And then I picked up the quote from the book to kind of pair with that. The same universe that dispassionately takes things away can bring you things you weren't imaginative enough to dream up. That is very true for this book because the life Daphne's living is full. She's about to get married. She has a job that she really enjoys. There's issues, well, you can get into that in the book, but she would have never even considered that in 6 months' time she could be in this complete other relationship doing this complete other thing. Life takes you crazy places, but obviously I'm gonna just go ahead and say that it was a better position to be in. Next, we have You Come Around and the Armour Falls, pierce the room like a cannonball, and I paired that with the quote, you make the people you care about feel like you want all of them, not just the good parts, and that's terrifying to someone who spent a lifetime avoiding those other pieces of themselves. Again, this really connects to the book for me because I feel like the way that these two characters make each other feel seen and safe and comfortable, all very positive things, but they're so new to these people that it's scary, and the reaction is to run away or kind of try and distance from it or pretend it's not really happening. Next quote, we are alone, just you and me, up in your room and our slates are clean. That for me is just kind of referring to them in this completely new situation together, obviously put there by unwanted means, but they are completely wiped clean of their lives basically. Especially for Daphne, her entire life surrounded this man that she was going to marry, and now she's in this new space and her slate is wiped clean. It does seem in that moment like the worst thing that could possibly happen, but you can look at it in a different way. What ends up being the truth is that it's a new chance. Love is a ruthless game unless you play it good and right. And I paired that with I'm a cynic, and a cynic is a romantic who's scared to hope. Which I love that quote. And then the final lyric, I don't have a quote to pair, but this is the golden age of something good and right and real. Tea. And then obviously I do need to mention the quote in the book, flags so red they veered toward maroon. If you know, you know. The next song that we're moving to is Treacherous. In the book that I paired is Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh. This is the, I think, 5th installment in the Boys of Tommen series that I absolutely love. This book is about Claire and Gibbsy. Gibbsy is the best friend of Johnny from the first book. Claire is the best friend of Shannon from the first book. So we see them throughout the series, and throughout the series we see this relationship between them, which is very interesting because they both seem to really care about each other, like be completely fully in love with each other really, but for some reason they're not together, and they just have this very interesting dynamic. I'm kind of listening to Treacherous from Claire's perspective. So we have, put your lips close to mine as long as they don't touch. Out of focus, eye to eye, till the gravity's too much. If you've read Taming 7, I feel like from the first few chapters you will, like that is a visual. Like something about Taylor's music, which I'm sure we all love, is the visuals that it can create, and reading that book I saw that visual reflected. We have, I'd be smart to walk away, but you quicksand. Yeah, and I paired that with Gibbsy belonged to the rest of the world, Gerard belonged to just to me. Like for me that kind of like not explains but gives insight into why Claire was able to like stick around and accept what Gibbsy was able to give her. Many people will say she's too good for him, he's stringing her along, blah blah blah, but she sees a different side to him that nobody else does, so she's willing to like stick around for when he's kind of ready, I guess. I can't decide if it's a choice getting swept away, which I pair with the quote, truth be told, it almost felt like a part of me was programmed to love him. It had come to me so easily, as easy as breathing. There wasn't a point in time that I could safely identify where he didn't live in my memory. I feel like that again explains why it's so impossible for Claire to separate from Gibbsy, because she has loved him as long as she can remember. Same for Gibbsy, but she has loved this boy as long as she could remember, and that coming from like childhood. So obviously when you're a child you can't have these romantic feelings of love, so it's a pure love that you feel for your family. Like that is rooted down deep. That's not something that you can dig out easily. And just to finish it off, we have this slope is treacherous. I like it. Because this boy has always been my favourite boy, my favourite friend, person, human, everything. Next we have 22. This song is very fun. It almost like it feels summer to me, which is interesting on an album which feels so fall. So I ended up picking the book The Summer Girl. This isn't, I will admit, as strong of a connection as I feel some of the other ones are, but I think overall vibe is what I'm more talking about with this. Summer Girl is about a girl called Cassie who has just come back to Avalon Bay, which is the place that this entire series takes place in. She's just come back to Avalon Bay. I think she's just there for the summer, and she is in the market for a summer fling. She wants to have a bit of fun, and she ends up meeting Tate Bartlett, who she feels is a great candidate for that. However, when he meets Cassie, he kind of decides, no, you're really cool, I actually want to be friends with you. So Cassie's put in this position where she's like, well, I kind of want to have a summer situation with you, and he's like, oh yeah, but I thought we were great friends. So yeah, but obviously they start building this connection, and it's like, okay, is this for the summer, what is this, blah blah blah. I put this with 22 because I feel like just that book encompasses fun and the carefree, like we only live once feeling of like what this summer is trying to create. Just some quotes that I paired with that. It feels like a perfect night for breakfast at midnight to fall in love with strangers. Very much the whole summer fling situation. And then it feels like one of those nights you look like bad news, I gotta have you, I gotta have you. That is very much their first meeting from Cassie's perspective, I feel. That's about it I have to say about that. That's not as, I don't feel that one as deep down to my bones, but the next song we have is Almost Due, which is basically after a breakup, I guess, wanting someone still, very, very deeply, still feeling very in love with someone, but knowing that you can't go back and you can't let them in because they will just hurt you again. And like you've worked so hard to get to the point that you are, which is still so fragile, that you can't even allow them back into your life no matter how much you want to, because you just know it's not worth the potential pain. I picked How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. I read this very recently. It's about a girl called Helen who is an author, and her book is being turned into a TV show, so she's getting to be part of the screenwriting process, which is obviously lovely for Helen. But turns out someone on the team, Grant Shepherd, was involved in her sister's death. Crazy. But then Grant and Helen have this like crazy tension, and yeah, this for me is from Grant's perspective. Very interesting that I talk from a man's perspective, very unlike me. I bet this time of night you're still up. I bet you're tired from a long hard week. I bet you're sitting in your chair by the window looking out at the city, and I bet sometimes you wonder about me. I feel like you can feel from the beginning of their relationship how tumultuous it is, how much we're all denying reality, I guess is really how I felt about it. And once we hit like the third act conflict scenario, which always happens, that's not a spoiler, think about it, really think about it, when has that not happened? This lyric in particular I really saw in the book. Reading it, seeing the image of what was happening in my head, I saw this from Grant's perspective. Then we also have, and I just want to tell you it takes everything in me not to call you, and I wish I could run to you, and I hope you know that every time I don't, I almost do. I don't want to explain this too much because I don't want to ruin anything, but if you like the sound of that, maybe read the book. I bet it never ever occurred to you I can't say hello to you and risk another goodbye. And I paired that with, but I couldn't get behind the steering wheel of your life that night and forced you to stay, and I've been mad at you for so long without changing a damn thing. And then we have, in my dreams, you're touching my face and asking me if I want to try again with you. And I paired that with, you could keep me your dirty little secret. Come to me tasting like other men, I'd still take you back every fucking time, he says, a muscle ticking violently in his jaw. I'd rather have a fraction of you than all of someone else. That kind of gives you a little perspective on what that romance is like. It's pretty fucking good, but the whole denying reality was a lot for me, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, there we go, moving on. I don't know if I've done a single one of these videos without mentioning this book. We have the song The Last Time, and then we're talking about Magnolia Parks. Now, The Last Time is one of Taylor's songs. These are some of my favourite ones that she does when it's a call and response situation almost. It's the male perspective and the female perspective of one relationship, and they're just going back and forth and they're giving you the real tea on the situation. And that feels very much Magnolia Parks to me. You've got the male and the female perspective going back and forth, giving you the real situation. Find myself at your door just like all those times before. I'm not sure how I got there. All roads, they lead me here. We literally open up the book. I think open up the book, maybe not open up. Within the first few chapters, we see this apparent non-relationship again and again coming back to each other. Then we have no past, no reason why, just you and me. And the quote I paired with that is, maybe this is how we'll always be, stuck together, drifting back to each other if we somehow pull apart. I hope that's what we'll be like. I hope we'll always find our way back. Despite any reality, despite any past or anything, they just continuously circle around each other. They can't rip apart, and any actual real concrete sign that they are starting to rip apart, God forbid, they're gonna have a freak out and they're gonna fuck shit up and ruin whatever maybe not toxic thing is happening, and they're gonna come back together. This is the last time I'm asking you this. Put my name at the top of your list. This is the last time I'm asking you why. You break my heart in the blink of an eye. Quote, he's killing me. Loving him is killing me too, and I'm afraid because how many loves really do you get in a lifetime? How many chances do you give before you let it go? Magnolia, I could give you the real answer on that, but you don't want to hear it, so we're not going to give you the real answer on that. Then we have, you find yourself at my door, and just like all those times before, you wear your best apology, but I was there to watch you leave, which I'm pairing with, because if she loved herself more than she loves me, she'd have fucked off years ago. I don't deserve all the chances she half tries to give me. Very much emphasis on the half tries to give me. And all the times I let you in just for you to go again, disappear when you come back, everything is better. Which I paired with, what a mindfuck it is to comfort the person who just blew your whole heart open with a rifle. Very much. And we have, this is the last time I say it's been you all along. I feel like I'm reading that from BJ's perspective, even though, you know, you could put that with Magnolia as well, but you definitely sense that as we move through the book, BJ gets more and more like fucked off with having to constantly apologize for his mistakes. He's very much like, either be done with it or let's get over it. You've got to make a decision. But then equally he's like, don't actually make a decision, just in case. Just in case, please. This is the last time, I won't hurt you anymore, which I paired with because she can only hate me how she hates me, because she loves me how she loves me. Very much like BJ knowing no matter what I do, no matter what I fuck up, you love me enough that you will probably at least halfway forgive me. Next song is Holy Ground, which I am pairing with The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This again isn't really like a direct like I'm gonna burn in blood that these two, this book and this song are like this. No, it's just more of a vibe thing. 7 Year Slip is about a girl called Clementine who comes back to her aunt's apartment one day and there is a random man living there and she's very much like, what the fuck's going on? Come to find out, this man is living there 7 years in the past, and every time she goes into the apartment she goes back 7 years ago for some unknown reason. I was reminiscing just the other day while having coffee all alone, and Lord, it took me away back to the first glance feeling on New York time, back when you fit in my poem like a perfect rhyme. And I paired that with He Was an Adventure, one I suddenly knew I wanted to take. That's the essence of the song that really connects with the book for me. It's like this thing coming into your life, like what could be more unexpected than the situation I described in that book? This thing coming into your life and completely twisting it upside down. You're forever changed by something so incredibly random. We have Spinning Like a Girl in a Brand New Dress. We had this big wide city all to ourselves, which I paired with Love Was an Invitation into the Wild Unknown, one step at a time together. For me, the line we had this big wide city all to ourselves is so this book, because they're in this apartment in this like time warp. It could not be more singular. They could not be more together alone in this big wide city. We have, and the story's got dust on every page, but sometimes I wonder how you think about it now, and I see your face in every crowd. Obviously they can't live in this time warp forever, so without spoiling anything, I paired that with Nothing Lasts Forever, not the good things, not the bad, so just find what makes you happy and do it for as long as you can, which I think very much is what they were doing, because they're just relying on this apartment that's randomly bringing them together. It seems illogical to fall in love with the other person, but you can't help what you feel and what you do, kind of thing. And then we have But I Don't Want to Dance If I'm Not Dancing With You. This lyric was honestly probably the reason I picked this book, and the quote is, you kiss like you dance. This is dialogue. You kiss like you dance terribly, like someone waiting to be asked. You can just dance, lemon, you can take the lead. Okay, really cute. Next song is Sad, Beautiful, Tragic. But when I was going through the songs and trying to pick, this one jumped out straight away. Once Upon a Broken Heart, the entire trilogy with this song, very much. So this series starts with Evangeline. She has just been left heartbroken because her one true love is getting married to someone else. So she goes to the temple of the Prince of Hearts, I think. That's what, yeah, Prince of Hearts, to basically try and get her true love back. And if you've read Caraval, you might have a little bit of idea of who the Prince of Hearts is, and yeah, that's where we go from there. I kind of picked this song because of the metaphors of like forgetting and silence that I was hearing in the song and hearing in the book really went like that for me. Words, how little they mean when you're a little too late. That, not explaining why, but that, crazy if you've read that series. Words, how little they mean when you're a little too late. Crazy. Good girls, hopeful they'll be, and long they will wait, which I paired with she wasn't making love choices, she was making compromising choices because she wanted love. Luke wasn't her weakness, love was. Not even just love, but the idea of it. That is very Evangeline. Her entire guiding force from the beginning of the series to the end of the series is true love. This girl wants love. She wants to be in love. She wants that fairy tale romance, and she will put a lot on the line for herself to try and get that. We had a beautiful magic love there. What a sad, beautiful, tragic love affair, which I paired with. He considered setting the room ablaze just so that he'd have a reason to pick her up and carry her out, to save her one last time before he left her for good. That's all I need to say on that. It's taking its sweet time erasing you, and you've got your demons, and darling, they all look like me, which I paired with the quote, once upon a time, a girl who believed in fairy tales stole the heart of a prince who had sworn to never love. Final little quote we're gonna have is, silence, the train runs off its tracks. Kiss me, try to fix it. Could you just try to listen? Girl, that's so crazy. That's so crazy that that is like that. I always get so hype in these videos for things like this when it's just like such a perfect connection. It's like, how is this met? How is this met? I don't understand. Next song is The Lucky One, and I was having a really good think about this one because I didn't want to do the standard 7 husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six. I didn't want to go down the starlet route because that's just so obvious. It's like, in terms of Taylor songs, one of the ones which is so descriptive and so like tells you exactly what it is. I wanted to try and look through a little bit more of a different lens. So this is not perfect by any means, but I found a lot of connections in this, and this one was really fun for me to kind of like delve into. Binding and Keeping 13. We're talking from Johnny Kavanagh's perspective. You might know where I'm going with this now. So Binding and Keeping 13, we have Johnny and Shannon. Johnny is a rugby player. And he's not just a rugby player, he is very good. He is on track to like play for Ireland. He is very, very good, but he has recently had an injury which was building up for a while and he really didn't want to deal with it. Had a surgery on that, and then it's just not gone great, and he's hiding a lot of pain that he's in and just kind of trying to keep going because he doesn't want to lose this dream. And it's a lot for him. And the camera flashes make it look like a dream. If you've read the book, you know what I'm kind of talking about. We have a lot of that kind of stuff going on, and then also just like from the outside looking in on his life, he has the perfect life, perfect parents. He's this amazing football player, he's good looking, he's popular, he's smart, you know, like he's got no worries kind of thing. I kind of included this one for my own fun. You had it figured out since you were in school. Everybody loves pretty, everybody loves cool, which I paired with boys with pretty eyes and big muscles mess everything up for girls. That's not really relevant, I just wanted to say that. And they'll tell you now you're the lucky one. Yeah, they'll tell you now you're the lucky one, but can you tell me now you're the lucky one? Which I paired with, he's going to be a star. Look at him, he's already shined so bright it's blinding. Obviously that could also go with another name, goes up in lights like diamonds in the sky. Most people around him only saw how all the good benefits he was going to get from this. Like, God, this kid's a star, this kid's going places. We need to take it back a few fucking steps and actually like look at what's going on right now with this kid. He's like 16, 17. Okay. And then they'll tell you that you're lucky, but you're so confused because you don't feel pretty, you just feel used. And all the young things line up to take your place, which I have paired with a lifetime of striving to be the best, the fear of not being good enough, and the constant sinking feeling of dread in the pit of my stomach. We see Johnny deal with so much anxiety and pressure that he's putting on himself to just keep going, just get to the next step, just get to the next step, get to the next step. Forget about how you're feeling right now, like physically and mentally. You just need to get to the next step because he's so scared of losing everything he's worked for. Okay, the next song is Everything Has Changed, which is such a sweet, lovely song. This for me is very much just like love at first sight vibes, which obviously isn't that realistic, but I really love it. It's like meeting a person and your whole world being flipped upside down. The only book that felt right to pair with this for me was Unravel Me by Becca Mack. This book is, I think, the 3rd book in the Playing for Keeps hockey series. Really love this series, if you don't know. This book is about Adam Lockwood, who has been kind of unlucky in love, let's just say. Not to spoil anything, but he's been unlucky in love, and he's very much a romantic, very much wants love. Ends up meeting our lovely Rosie, and it is pretty much like an instant oh moment, like, oh, the whole reason everything happened the way it did was to bring me here to you in this moment. Are we kidding? I knew this morning when I woke is I know something now I didn't before, which I paired with I've waited too long for this, a partner to walk through life with, a love I haven't had to earn but simply deserved, but fuck, we all deserve to be loved without condition. And it is that, it's just like, it's been so hard until now, and now it's so easy, and it makes so much more sense why all those things didn't work, because that wasn't real love. Why all of that was so difficult, because that wasn't this, and this is real. And all I've seen since 18 hours ago is green eyes and freckles and your smile in the back of my mind, making me feel like I just want to know you better now, which I paired with it was like you were my gravity, and every moment I was with you, everything settled into place. Again, it's just like, this is so easy compared to everything else, which makes so much sense, because of course everything else is so difficult and horrible and blah, because it's not this. And this is what it should be, this is right. All I know is we said hello and your eyes look like coming home, and all I know is a simple name, everything has changed, which I've heard with you're not my first choice, Rosie, you're the only goddamn option. Are we kidding? Are we kidding? To finish it off. And all my walls stood tall, painted blue, but I'll take them down, and open up the door for you. And all I feel in my stomach is butterflies, the beautiful kind, making up for lost time, taking bite, making me feel like, yeah, okay. I don't need you to take on my pain, Adam. I just need you to sit with me while I feel it. That's enough for me. Which, from Rosie's perspective, well, from both of their perspectives, they both have reasons to be, like, scared about what's happening, and kind of, like, pull what we see in a lot of other books with the whole miscommunications and the, oh, I love you, but I don't, blah, 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 but they very much don't. They let their walls down for each other, which I think is really beautiful. The next song we have, and this is another one that I feel really strongly about, like, I'm like, these were written for each other vibe. We have Begin Again and Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. This book is taking us through the life of Ali Morris. Her mother recently died, I think 2 years ago, and her husband left the year after, and she has 3 kids, and she's very much just not feeling herself, not feeling her life. She ends up meeting this guy completely randomly, and he just looks at her as a person, as a woman, as an individual, as you look at anybody else, and it's new for her because she hasn't been looked at or seen herself in that way in so long. She's seen herself as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, not just as Ali. And yeah, the book is kind of taking us through her falling in love with this person, but also just finding Ali. Took a deep breath in the mirror. He didn't like it when I wore high heels, but I do. When I was doing it with this book, I feel like I read that lyric in a whole new way. This might sound really stupid, and everybody else might have always been hearing it like this, but I've always heard it as more of like, took a deep breath in the mirror, he didn't like. I wasn't focusing on took a deep breath in the mirror. I was hearing, he didn't like it when I wore high heels, but I do. I heard it as very like, he didn't like it when I wore high heels, but I do. Pairing it with this and reading it again, took a deep breath in the mirror, he didn't like it when I wore high heels, but I do. I saw that was a very hard thing for you to admit, for you to remember, for you to acknowledge that you have changed, to try and like, it is almost like you're questioning yourself when you're saying that, like, I do, apparently, maybe, who knows. Not the most revolutionary thing, but it felt kind of revolutionary to me in the moment. I paired that with the most disturbing part of the balance of power in my relationship with Pete is that I was complicit, chipping off pieces of myself and offering them to him until all that was left is who I am now. Girl, that sucks. God, my arms are killing me. I've walked in expecting you'd be late, but you got here early and you stand and wave, I walk to you. Which I paired with, he's looking at me like I'm someone I used to be. Are we kidding? I might cry. You pull my chair out and help me in, and you don't know how nice that is, but I do. Which I paired with, this is Ethan's superpower, I think. His ability to meet people where they are and just hold space for them to step into their best selves without any expectation of what they might be. And I think this encapsulates one of my favourite parts of the book. She doesn't find herself for this man, and she doesn't find herself in this man, like a new identity from him. He is giving her the space and the respect and empowerment to look internally and find herself again. It isn't being built up because of him, but him helping her. I think it's strange that you think I'm funny because he never did, which I paired with. Ethan is something I never thought possible, a partner with whom I am totally free to be myself, a summer romance that doesn't have to end. Yeah, and then we have, I've been spending the last 8 months thinking all love ever does is break and burn and end, but on a Wednesday in a cafe I watched it begin again. I would change that lyric to, I've spent the last 2 years thinking all love ever does is break and burn and end, but on a who knows what day, in a dog park, I watched it begin again. It's starting to feel like a champagne summer, which was one of my favourite quotes from the book. Okay, next song is The Moment I Knew. I picked The X-Files by Jessica Joyce, and I'm not going to be explaining this too much because, again, I don't want to ruin this for any new readers for the book, because it is a very good book, I would recommend. But I'm thinking of quite a particular moment. This, again, is one that is very, like, I see this. The imagery is strong for this. So we're following Georgia, who is the best woman for her best friend's wedding. She's having to work very closely with her ex-fiance, boyfriend, I'm not sure, Eli, who is also the best man for the wedding because they're all best friends. Quotes and lyrics. I'm not going to explain these too much because I don't want to, you know, ruin anything. You should have been there. You should have burst through the door with that baby I'm right here smile, and it would have felt like a million little shining stars had just aligned, and I would have been so happy. And it was like slow motion, standing there in a party dress in red lipstick with no one to impress. It sounds so weird to speak these lyrics that like, and it was like slow, like it doesn't sound right. I paired that with each brick was a time he'd fucked up or I had. A time when either one of us could have said what was on our mind and said nothing instead. It was endless tiny transgressions that didn't ruin us in a moment but added to the wall we built. On this night in December 5 years ago, I see how tall it is, how unclimbable. And they're all laughing, asking me about you, but there was one thing missing, and that was the moment I knew. Thinking a very specific moment. What do you do when the one who means the most to you is the one who didn't show? Which I paired with, I wondered a lot, alone in our bed, while he pulled another all-nighter when he stopped being hungry for me. Looking at this romance, which you know was so one in a million, you know that a lot of people don't get to feel what you two felt for each other, and just questioning how you let that go. What could possibly be more important? Last but not least, you should have been here and I would have been so happy. Which I paired with, but while he was trying to fix what was broken in his past, he was breaking something that was right in front of him. Sucks to suck. Next, we have a book that I do not have a physical copy of, but it is Caught Up by Liz Tomford, which I am pairing with the song Come Back, Be Here. So, Caught Up, we have, God, what are the names? I think it's Malachi and, what's her face? Miller. Malachi and Miller. Miller is this world-renowned pastry chef, I believe, and she basically goes to restaurants and kind of revamps their dessert menu. That is her career. She is very, very renowned for that, but she ends up kind of like having a little bit of a dip in her career, and she decides to go spend some time with her dad. Her dad is the manager, coach, something along those lines, for a baseball team, I believe. So she gets there and somehow ends up deciding to play nanny for the summer for this baseball player who is a single father traveling with his child. They fall in love. She's like, I gotta go after the summer. It's a lot of tea. We have stumble through the long goodbye, one last kiss, then catch your flight, right when I was just about to fall. Which I paired with, if you ever decide stop running and make a home, his eyes are begging, pleading, make it with me. This book I loved at the start, kind of infuriated towards the end. I really don't love the we can't be together though, I've got to go and be a fucking, I've got a commitment and fucking there. It's like, yeah, you'd go do that and then you'd come back, like you'd figure something out if you guys are so in love, but whatever, this is a book, it's not reality. I told myself don't get attached, but in my mind I play it back, spinning faster than the plane that took you. Which I paired with, I'm telling you this Not as her dad, but as your friend. She will leave when the summer is over. I love my daughter to death, but she's a runner, and the last thing she wants is to get caught. For me, it's like the lyric is saying, I was telling myself not to get attached. In this, everybody is telling you not to get attached. She's telling you not to get attached. Her dad's telling you not to get attached. Don't get attached to the girl. You can't help it though. Love is love. Love is love. Am I right, people? 2 more lyrics. This is when the feeling sinks in. I don't want to miss you like this. Come back, be here. And then we have, I can't help but wish you took me with you. Very much, but he has a son, so we can't be doing that, can we? The next song that I got to that I wanted to include in this video was Better Man. I had a little bit of a struggle really like settling on a book for this because little elements of so many books were kind of sticking out to me. And I was half in a mind of, okay, do I just leave it out? Because, you know, I'm leaving a bunch of songs out. But this one I really like, I've read so many books and felt this song. So I had to find something that worked. Before I give you what I ended up picking, here are a couple of books which I feel have Better Man vibes. We have Darling Venom, The X-Files, Final Offer, and Things We Left Behind. What I ended up going with is Fireborn, the Aurelian Cycle trilogy, the entire trilogy by Rosario Munda. This is a really good, if you like Fourth Wing, really good series, politics, dragons, all that kind of shit. Romance is not my favourite, does not eat. Maybe you can tell by the song why. In my personal opinion, I feel like maybe people would disagree with me on my perception of the romance, which is fine, but my opinion. Meet Annie and Lee at the beginning. They're both orphans in the same orphanage, and they end up becoming dragon riders. And that is like the highest point of society. They're like in control kind of the government, and then also the like military of the government. Is an interesting situation. And Allie and Lee have this very deep connection, obviously from childhood, and it is romantic, like, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of conflict and there's a lot of not appreciating the other person and not giving the other person the benefit of the doubt and putting your own ideas and thoughts before the other person's. Just seeing the worst in the other person a lot, not is what I've really felt. So we have, and I see the permanent damage you did to me. Never again, I just wish I could forget when it was magic. I felt so bad for Annie so often in this series because there's another quote later on that's kind of going to go into this as well, but all of them, but especially her, she was in a really, really impossible situation. It was really hard. There's no right answer. Everything is going to end up with someone getting hurt, and it is basically her job to pick the best of a bad decision, and no matter what she picks, she is the villain. And there are people who will say the most cruel things about her because of that, and that's one thing. And then you have the person who is closest to you in the world and the person who's meant to be there for you, kind of just going, well, you did, that's how it works. And it's just, yeah, not cool. But I just miss you and I just wish you were a better man, which I paired with the quote, the best parts of myself I found with Annie. And for me, I put that in there because it's like, it was hard for me sometimes in the series to really find the romance, to really dig it out, but it was there. Like a lot of that, what that quote kind of means, the best parts of myself I found with Annie, was forgotten a lot of the time by certain characters. No, I'm probably better off all alone than needing a man who could change his mind at any given minute. Emphasis on change his mind at any given minute. Very much a man thing to do. And then we have, and it's always on your terms. I waited on every careless word. Emphasis on careless word. Hoping they might turn sweet again, like it was in the beginning. Crazy, 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 okay? I hold on to this pride because these days it's all I have, and I gave to you my best, and we both know you can't say that. This is not just like on the relationship level, but on the entire sphere of like looking at this society level. I gave to you my best, and we both know you can't say that. I paired that with, much of what you'll be doing as guardians will be deciding which is the lesser evil. Who lives, who dies, it should be a terrible burden. And nobody really wants to acknowledge what kind of burden that really is. Nobody really wants to acknowledge that. Next we have a song which more than any other song can bring me to my knees, bring me to tears at a moment's notice, depending on the day. You never know when this song could hit me like a tidal wave. There's nothing new, of course. By Miss Taylor Allison Swift. This song is not okay. This song should be illegal. The book that we're going to be pairing this with is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. Mainly just because of the way that some of the quotes in this book made me feel the same way that the song makes me feel. We're going to do this slightly differently though, because it's not really a plot situation that we need to talk about. What I need to do is I need you to read you some lyrics, and then I need to read you some quotes. We're going to have a little reading time. I'm not going to explain these things. We're just going to read them, and you're going to listen, and you're going to understand why these two shake me. First, the song. Just to give you a little idea, a little refresher on what the song is like. Criticize the way you fly when you're soaring through the sky. Shoots you down, and then they sigh and say, she looks like she's been through it. Yeah. And I know it's sad, but this is what I think about. And I wake up in the middle of the night and it's like I can feel time moving. And then we have, and my cheeks are growing tired from turning red and faking smiles. Are we only biding time till I lose your attention? Now get comfortable for these Study in Drowning quotes, because we have a few. There's an eternal feeling, this sense of being unwelcome. No matter where she was, Effie was always afraid she was not wanted. Effie didn't reply. She didn't really know. She was just grateful not to be standing on the platform alone. That, for some reason, that's gonna make me feel sick, I don't know why. That's gonna make me feel sick, I don't know why. Effie hated that she couldn't tell right from wrong, safe from unsafe. Her fear had transfigured the entire world. Looking at anything was like trying to glimpse a reflection in a broken mirror, all of it warped and shattered and strange. Perhaps ailing was a euphemism for mad. Men like to keep mad women locked up where everyone could comfortably forget they ever existed. But baby, there's nothing like a male woman. She would be infirm, unstable, untrustworthy, undeserving of the life she wanted. They put girls like her in attic rooms or sanatoriums, locked them up and threw away the keys. She had already heard the version of the story in which she was a tramp, a slut, a whore. She had heard it so many times it was like a water stain on velvet. It would never quite come out. She wondered if there was another version of the story. She didn't even know her own. To wrap that all up, I was 18. That meant I was a woman in some people's eyes. Well, I was a woman when it was convenient to blame me, and a girl when they wanted to use me. So that is going to be that. That book in terms of plot is really nothing to write home about, in my opinion. If we were just basing the book on plot, I would probably give it around 3 stars. But some of the things that Ava Reid writes just hit me on such a level that I can't not acknowledge that, and I can't not sit here and tell that to you right now. We have Message in a Bottle. This is another one which is looser. It's more how the song makes me feel compared to how the book makes me feel. We have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Brianna, who is a doctor, and she's kind of looking for a promotion right now. She's thinking, I'm about to get this job. Yes, 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 this is my life. Miss Brianna has a lot going on outside of work, so she does not need anything to go wrong with this situation. And this new doctor comes in who immediately everybody does not like for one reason or another. He keeps kind of messing up on his first day. It becomes clear to Brianna that maybe this guy is in competition with her for this job, and she's like, who's this new fucking guy and why is he coming in for my job? And it's all very and Jacob, the other new doctor, can definitely see that he's made a bad first impression on everyone, especially on Brianna. So he decides to write Brianna a note to kind of explain a lot of stuff to her. Something that we find out about Jacob is that he has really, really serious anxiety. So you maybe understand why he made such a bad impression on everyone if you are dealing with that. So yeah. I know that you like me and it's kind of frightening standing here waiting, which I paired with. Have you ever heard that saying that if you're with someone who doesn't speak your language, you'll spend a lifetime having to translate your soul? Amy never spoke your language. Brianna's different. She understands you, even when you don't say anything at all. A message in a bottle is all I can do, standing here hoping it gets to you. That just is like an ode to the notes back and forth. And then we have, these days I'm restless, work days are endless, look how you made me. But time moves faster, replaying your laughter. Disaster. I feel like Brianna forming this friendship and then like relationship situation with Jacob definitely took a lot of stress out of her life, or at least gave her an outlet from a lot of the stuff that she was dealing with to like relax. Just had to give you this quote: "You and me, we're different. We agree to be harmless to each other." Okay, there we go. That's really sweet. 2 books left. Let's just fucking do this, okay? Run is the song that we're talking about. And the book that I paired this with is Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This little novella just about brought me to my knees. I have never in my life cried about a book the way that I cried about this. I don't know why. I didn't love the Powerless series, really at all. This, for some reason. So this is, if you're going to read this, obviously you've read the first Powerless novel, and I'm just going to give a proper spoiler warning right now, put a little timestamp for when we're going to move on to the last book. If you've not read Powerless, don't, because the things that happen in this book you're building up knowing something's coming, and I am going to be talking about what that is. So if you haven't read Powerless and you want to, don't. We are following Adina, who is Payton, who is the main character of the first book, her best friend, who we see at the start of Powerless and then kind of a little bit throughout. What we don't know throughout Powerless is that Adina has met this lovely young gentleman, Mac, and they've kind of formed this friendship relationship, and it's just the sweetest, most... Mac has such a hard life. So does Adina, but Mac especially comes into the book so hopeless, and Adina gives him, I'm gonna cry, Adina gives him so much hope, and the way that the book ends is just so heartbreaking for Mac. To get into this so I can finish, because I started crying when I was putting these quotes together, so we might see some tears. So we have, "And run like you'd run from the law, darling, let's run from it all. We can go where our eyes can take us, go where no one else is run," which I paired with, "Shh." I run a hand down the length of her curls, feeling a hiccup jostle her body. "You did the right thing, run to me, always run to me." I have, "So you laugh like a child, and I'll sing like no one cares, no one to be, no one to tell," which I paired with, "I always wondered how something could shine so bright even while being swallowed in darkness." Very much Adina is just light in this dark world, especially for Mac. She brings like this joy to his life that he's never had before, and it's really beautiful. "There's a heart on your sleeve, I'll take it when I leave. Leave and hold it for you," which I paired with, "You make even the stars envious," I repeat softly, leaning towards her, "because one day, far from now, you'll be up there beside them, outshining every single one." And then we have, "There's been this hole in my heart, this thing was a shot in the dark. Say you'll never let them tear us apart, and I'll hold on to you while we run," which I paired with, "If darkness is the absence of light, then that is what I am when she is not around, and I wonder how I've stumbled this long without her to guide me." Guys, that novella is ridiculous, like, very much. Okay, so last but not least, we have The Very First Night, and I actually paired this with a book we've already been talking about, The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. Honestly, there are so many Taylor Swift songs that go with this book. More than any other book, this book evokes songs from me. I feel like Maroon, We Can't Be Friends, You're Losing Me, Paper Rings, like, so many songs. We're talking about The Very First Night. So we have, "I wish I could fly. I'd pick you up and we go back in time. I'd write this in the sky. I miss you like it was the very first night," which I paired with, "Time is a miracle. It shows you what you had, and sometimes it brings it back to you, different, better." Self-explanatory. "I drive down different roads, but they all lead back to you," which I paired with, "When I say I'm still in love with you, I mean the first time I saw you, and right now I mean every second in between." Are you kidding me? And then we have, "We never saw it coming, not trying to fall in love, but we did like children running." And then we have, last but not least, last quote of the video, "Back then we didn't know we were built to fall apart. We broke the status quo and we broke each other's heart." which goes with, it's a gift to know someone when you're in love with them and a curse when you're out of it. That was very much like, I feel like the main feeling that I had through that entire book of like, every single time we saw our main character realize how much this person who has been out of her life for 5 years is still the person who she was so in love with, who she is still so in love with, how heartbreaking that is, how much of a gift and how lucky you are to know someone like that, but also how vulnerable that makes you. Crazy, the sides, the coins, we turn crazy. Yeah, that is it. That is my last book, my last song. What a journey, what an album. This was, I don't know if harder than the others, but I always not struggle with these videos, but I definitely have to pick around some of the sadder songs on the album sometimes, because I really tend not to read sad books. My reaction to sad books, if you saw my reaction to Powerful, I can't remember what video it was in, but I was not cute. So me and sad books don't really mix. I don't really have that many ways to pair sad Taylor songs, but I find my ways. I work my way around it, as you can probably tell. That's gonna be it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear if you have any other recommendations that you think really connect to any of these songs, or any songs on any other Taylor albums. One of my absolute favourite parts about being a Swiftie and a book lover is that I'm constantly finding a book to go with the Taylor Swift song. Constantly finding a book to go with the Taylor Swift song. So if you have any recommendations for me, I would just love to hear that. But yeah, that is going to be it from me. Thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye!